The next time you get an objection, say this, or try using this. When somebody tells you this, tell them this. Why is every salesperson searching YouTube to find out the next one-liner to overcome an objection? Or to get someone to a certain stage in the sales process, they're always looking for certain phrases. Stick around in this video. I'm going to teach you the importance of actually having a sales process and understanding the entire mechanics behind what you need to know when you're in front of your prospect versus always having a catchphrase or an objection to overcome. There is a massive difference in the sales arena. I mean, come on. How many times have you searched YouTube and you've looked for, oh, look, this is how you overcome this objection. Or look at this guy on YouTube and he's showing you how to overcome a certain objection. Watch him go. He might do a live training or it might be pre-recorded. It's great. I get it. It is great to have a go-to process in terms of objections or maybe some things that just can very much easily insert into your sales conversation with your prospect. But here's what you have to understand. Look, let's take boxing, for example. There's a phrase in boxing, you cannot play boxing. So in other words, you're either boxing, there's no playing around. You can't fake it. You can either do it or you can. You're either in training or you're not in training. The same equates to sales. You can't fake sales. The entire sales process. I've talked about this before, how there's so much of a range in a sales conversation with you and your prospect, especially when you're doing it over Zoom. So when we see objection go-tos, like here's a good one to say if somebody's thinking about it, insert this. That's great. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't understand your sales process when you're in front of your prospect, you're going to be in trouble. You need to understand what their problem is. You need to understand what it is they're looking for. Everything else in that conversation is open range, baby. Look, you are never 100% ready for a sales call. I don't care who you are. Nobody is 100% ready for a perfect sales call. It doesn't work that way. So instead of inserting objection handling processes or certain things you may hear that sound cool or look, there's nothing wrong with that. You need a navigation system. You need to understand where you're going, right? Because you're not always going to need buzzy and fancy objection handling phrases and things like that if you know exactly where you're going. In fact, when you do have a sales process where you know where you are at every single point in that conversation, you just have a conversation. You can be clear. Having a sales process, having an objection handling process where you know how to overcome and think about it, or you know what to say or insert when somebody tells you they don't have enough time, or they want to do it themselves, or they need to speak to their spouse, or they need to think about it. That is all fine. That is great. It's good to have that. You're going to need that. You're going to need that equipment when you're on that actual sales call, but it's going to dial down to your process. Think of a map. Think of a GPS, right? We use GPSs every day when we're going, especially with me, I have zero sense of direction. When we're using a GPS, it gives us an idea of where we're going. We follow those directions, okay? Sometimes we go off route on that GPS. Could be a new subdivision. We're not picking up anything on a GPS and now we're going into a whole different area. Same thing with your sales process. You need to understand the sales process like the back of your hand so you can navigate through that actual conversation. And the whole point of that is flow. The whole point of that is that you're not reading a script. The whole point of that is that you know where you are, you know at what point you're at, and you're there with your prospect in that moment. That's how you're going to get them to the other side. There's no other way. Having a handy list of objection handling processes, that's great. But guess what? Understand where objections come from. Understand the psychology behind that. Because when you do that and you have your sales process dialed in, you can see these objections before they happen and you can help someone deal with it. So it's great. YouTube all you want on fancy ways of getting over objections and things like that. That might sound cool on a sales call, but understand the process. Understand where your prospect is. Understand where you are in the conversation at the whole time. Then you're going to have a productive call. Then you're going to be able to help your prospect. They're going to be clear on exactly where they're going because you're engaged in the actual conversation. Getting really good at the sales process means that you're in the moment, you're attentive, you're there with your prospect, there's no noise, you're truly having that conversation. Talk to that person like you would talk to your friend, right? I promise you, you're going to have sales scenarios where you're going off that GPS. You're going to have sales scenarios where you insert that cool buzz phrase you heard. You're going to hear crickets on the other side because it's not real time. Ethereal in your mind is like, okay, this is really good to insert here, but prospect, that person knows you're not listening, or it just doesn't feel right. Have a conversation with someone. Listen, let me tell you this now. When you get to the point when you're on a sales call and that prospect feels like you are having a genuine conversation, because you are, that's what's going to take them to the line. It's like you having a conversation with your best friend. That's a real sales call. All right, guys, this was a quick one. I hope you liked it. If you do like it, like and subscribe. I'm back. I've been away for a little bit here. It's not going to happen again. I'm going to come back each week and continue making these videos. I'm building a community. I've got some fire coming here really soon for all of you guys. I've got an incredible person that I'm going to be interviewing next that is well established in the YouTube community. This guy is great. So I'm going to release that video soon once we do the interview, and it's going to be all for you guys. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.